Hello everyone, I'm JoltKing627, and today we're going to be reviewing the Skewer by Charamile Designs. Let's get right into it. So, this is the Skewer by Charamile Designs. It was printed by Silver Fox Industries, and their print quality is pretty amazing. The Skewer is a fully 3D printed blaster with the exception of course, the hardware, such as the plunger tube, the ram, and the barrel. Otherwise, again, it's all 3D printed. It's a community-designed blaster. This blaster is similar to the Talon Claw in many ways. This is, in fact, a Talon Claw-sized spring, I believe. This is an SF25 on this particular setup, and a 30-centimeter Kuriaka barrel. But instead of pump action, it primes right back here with the T-pull. The T-pull design is, of course, similar to how you would prime a Night Finder, but unlike the Night Finder, where as you can see here, once you pull back the handle, you are done and you can fire, it is like the Knockout, where you have to pull the handle out and push it back in. This works using this metal rod that's actually going through the plunger head and into the ram base. And as you can see, that's how that chambers. The plunger head is now back here, caught on this very nice sear, and the ram is all the way forward, and you can fire. That rod, of course, is where it gets its name. The magwell of this blaster is compatible with Talon magazines, and it is very nicely flared. It is very easy to get the mag in at pretty much any angle. However, it does not work with the katanas or the mags that come with the Nexus Pro and the Aeon Pro. As far as ergonomics go, this blaster is actually pretty darn good. The T-pull is very well-rounded and can actually rotate in whichever direction you choose. So there are a number of ways in which you can prime that, or rather a number of angles. The mag release is very, very nice. As you can see, it is using elastic as the return, as is the trigger. It does not have a trigger guard, which is a small ergonomic complaint from me, as I tend to rest up like this, and my middle finger gets a little caught, but I just have to kind of reorient how I hold the thing, and it works just fine. This front area is very nicely sloped, so you can hold that very easily as your Fore Grip. Now, as far as the main grip, it is actually very, very good. As you can see, it is very well curved, and it contours to my hand very, very well. When I first got this, the ridge from this area was a little bit sharp. I filed it down slightly, and at first, my hand was a little bit irritated around my thumb, and I would use gloves to remedy this. However, as time has gone on, my hand has gotten used to it and is finding it to be very, very comfortable. As far as performance goes, this will vary depending on what setup you have. I have the 30-centimeter Kuriaka barrel and the SF25 spring, and I'm getting about 220 to 230 FPS, occasional readings in the 240s, as the chronograph footage will show now. The air seal on this blaster is also particularly decent. It's not 100% by any means, but if you plug the barrel, you are able to get it to go a little bit slowly, which means that it's good enough to fire the dart fairly well. You do not want to dry fire this blaster, as there is no air restrictor. Alright, now that I've described kind of what this blaster is, I'm going to go ahead and do a firing demonstration, and then we will get into any complaints I had and my experience with the blaster in general. Alright, here's a firing demonstration. We're going to be using the new Target Dart Zone Max darts, because they are brand new, and they work the best. So, let's go. We are out of ammo, so we got the mag reloaded. Also, don't have to open the breech to insert a magazine. This has a skinny pusher. Let's go again. So yeah, this is a pretty fun blaster. I would recommend this to anyone who's into competitive Nerf. It's definitely a good blaster to have. Now, when I was building this, there were some things to note. The pins that I was sent, I bought this from Silver Fox Industries. They were slightly too narrow, and while the trigger, that ended up working out, the elastic was enough to put the tension on here so that it was still able to release the sear properly without too much wiggle. The pin in the mag release, it would not work properly. It was dropping mags because this was not the correct size. So I ended up getting a mystery pin from the bin and using that, and it ended up working fine. Another complaint is that the straightening of the top can be rather difficult. It may be hard to see, but sometimes this is a little bit off with some of the pieces, them being separate pieces, of course. Now, this is very easy to just by hand kind of twist them to get to their correct orientation, but if you do not do this beforehand, your barrel can be leaning off to the side, and that is a little bit of an issue. It's a small gripe, as once you get it into position, it will stay there for at least a little while. Sometimes it'll wiggle back out of place, but it's very easy to fix. It's just worthy of note. Other than those two things, though, I honestly didn't really have any problems with this blaster. It functions beautifully, and it was relatively easy to put together. Taffy's instructions were pretty high quality, and the doodles were even higher quality. Also, just a fun thing to note, this came with 3 little Taffy candies, which is a funny joke, and I absolutely love that. They were delicious. Honestly, also, I'm just happy to see a design that isn't pump action. Pump action's great and all, but it's nice to have a little bit of variety, and this T-style priming mechanism is very enjoyable, and is, in fact, a little easier to prime, because you don't have to fight with a pump grip. It's directly in line with the force. So that about wraps it up. I am rather impressed with this blaster. I'll have a link in the description box below to Silver Fox's website where you can purchase one of these of your very own if you so desire. I highly recommend it. I absolutely cannot wait to see what Taffy does next. Before we go, I do want to give a special thank you to Grim Reaper 2458, GSP, Cyndane, and Taffy, because they helped me get a hold of this blaster. Without them, I would never have been able to afford this, and I would not be doing this review. So a huge thank you to all of them. Also, a double thank you to Taffy for helping me to assemble this in voice chat. I had never assembled a fully 3D printed blaster before, and I was a little bit confused. So I absolutely can't thank him enough for that. Speaking of Taffy, it looks like he just sent me a video message. Let's check it out.
Hi Joel King, Taffy from Charamile Designs here. I saw your Skewer video, and I just want to say I am so glad that you like the blaster as much as you do. I was touched during release by just how many people really liked the blaster, especially how quickly it just took off. It was fast. Now, there are a couple things that I want to touch on first. Actually, no, there's just one tiny little problem, but it's pretty important. So, unfortunately, you don't have a Charamile Design Skewer. What you have is actually an Orion Blaster's Lynx. Now, the Skewer, the Charamile Designs Skewer, is supposed to be a pump action, bullpup, slamfire blaster, and that's not what the Orion Blaster's Lynx is. The Lynx is a T-pole non-bullpup blaster, and it has this cool, weird rod going through the center of the plunger head. I don't understand why anybody would do this, because clearly pump action is the future. We've had this stuff for years. I don't see why anybody would make something different. This just doesn't make sense to me. Now don't get me wrong, Dan is great and he's put together a really cool little blaster here, but I really think he just should have gone for something a bit easier to take apart. Like, look, just one pin, you can get to the spring, it's pump action, you can go fast, it's got slam fire, it takes talons. Well, what's not to love here? The Lynx is cool, but pump action is cooler. Yeah, that should cover everything. That's all I really wanted to say. Oh, also, this video was sponsored by Containment Crew. So go buy some Tatis from Foam Crew Blast Pro Shop, and I'm Captain Slug. Give me money. Okay, bye.
Huh. Well, I guess that says it all, doesn't it? Anyway, if you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to put them in the comment section down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you all for watching.